We're also watching shares of GameStop this morning. Keith Gill, also known as Roaring Kitty, appears to have increased his position in the company. He posted another YOLO update on Reddit last night, reflecting a stake of more than 9 million shares and just over $6 million in cash. That compares to just 5 million shares and 120,000 call options against GameStop back on June 2nd when Gill first started reporting his GameStop positions. It's not clear whether he sold some or all of his GameStop call contracts or he exercised some of the options early to try and add to that GameStop stake. We had seen that earlier, the volume that had picked up, and a lot of traders were speculating that that was him liquidating some of that call option position. GameStop's annual shareholder meeting yesterday was disrupted by computer problems as the servers there crashed under this overwhelming interest. A lot of people trying to log into the live stream. That stock this morning is down by about 1.3%. For the year to date, it's up by 63%, 28.73.
I don't know what to make of that.
I don't either.
Well, Bloomberg reporting meme stock investor Keith Gill, better known as Roaring Kitty, is exiting his entire options position in GameStop. A screenshot of his E-Trade portfolio no longer includes the calls set to expire next week. Roaring Kitty's cash position dipping to $6.3 million from nearly $30 million on Monday. Lisa, quick stock check. We're up by about 2% in the pre-market.
So he's moving out of his options. However, he has increased his stake in GameStop, his actual cash stake in shares, to become one of the biggest investors in this name, in GameStop. He is up there. There are only 3 other investors who own more than 9 million shares of GameStop as he does. That include BlackRock, Vanguard, and RC Ventures. So it sort of raises this question of just what his influence is going to be and what will Roaring Kitty do next?
Still waiting to see. Have we ever seen Vlad Tenev and Keith Gill in the same room? Has it ever happened?
You're going to start this rumor, really?
They look identical.
You think that's going to happen?
I'm not the only one saying that.
Okay.
They look identical.
Do you want to make some of the conspiracy theory?
Looks like the same person. No, no conspiracy theories.
Well,
I had a really weird conspiracy theory yesterday that I'll talk about another time.
Yeah, not on air.
Something like that. Yeah, not on air.
We're also watching shares of GameStop this morning as Keith Gill, of course, Roaring Kitty, appears to be increasing his position in the company. Gill posted another YOLO update on the Superstonk forum on Reddit last night. It appears to show he's holding more than 9 million shares and just over $6 million in cash. So take a look at the chart. You can see shares are down about 3% right now in the pre-market. They're down 39, almost 40% since Gill returned to YouTube last week. Big drop off since Roaring Kitty's big return.
You want to talk about GameStop and Keith Gill? Because that's what I was...
He is.
We should mention it because...
You know what? He's now the man. He has so much money, he's become the man. He was sticking it to the man. Now he is the man.
He had options on 120,000 call options. They were going to expire on June 21st. He seems to have sold about 80,000 of them, but
he essentially
exercised some and went from 5 million shares of ownership to about 9 million shares.
That's a huge position.
It is a big position in GameStop. You can figure out the math there.
They've got to break all those leases and move into another business. He is now the 3rd largest shareholder after Vanguard, never mind, Ryan Cohen is.
Ryan Cohen. Yeah, but he is the 2nd largest individual shareholder.
You got to hope that Ryan's got a game plan, David. What do you think he's thinking?
$10+ billion market value. They've raised $3 billion in new equity. They already had $1 billion in cash. So they got about $4 billion in cash.
They can break every single lease. They can write a check to Simon Properties, write a check to everybody, get out of that stupid business, reinvent themselves. It's something that's worth more than 30, and I think they'll do that. Okay. It makes too much sense.
Okay.
There's your man, David. Einstein.
There it is. It's a week ago since we got that great performance. Genius. Just pure genius.
What's Picasso say about that?
Yeah, Picasso has a lot to say. Or as I refer to him, Pablo.
Pablo?
Yeah, Pablo.
Did you take spots and dots at art appreciation
course?
I did not. You should have. That was a gut. This is an A.
Pablo, when he died.
You just had to know Frank Stella.
Pablo was a
you knew Frank Stella.
We're just thinking everything Spain. Everything's
that's a great
Picasso
country, man. It's a great country. Yeah.
And finally, we have to end our week by talking about GameStop. Keith Gill, known as Roaring Kitty, he seemed to increase his ownership in GameStop common stock. Now appears to be holding more than 9 million shares. He posted a new screenshot of his E-Trade portfolio on Reddit's Superstonk forum after the bell yesterday. Shares today are moving to the downside. They're down just flipping over 2% here. But it's interesting that this post seemed to be the biggest catalyst for the movement that we're seeing in this stock to the downside. But he's still continues to be one of the top 4 holders of GME. The others are, I think, Vanguard is among them, BlackRock as well. So he's certainly the biggest individual investor. It's not necessarily a bearish signal for the people who love Keith Gill. But we're still seeing moves to the downside.
Yeah, again, his portfolio no longer showing or no longer including the 120,000 call options. And then those were set to expire next week. So I don't necessarily think that's huge surprise here to many on the street. He remains invested, it seems like, at least to GameStop, really backing what he has said, or what he has signaled, I should say, through his social media outlets over the last several weeks. So again, we are seeing some movement here to the downside from GameStop, but this is a stock, clearly it's been on quite a wild ride here over the last several weeks, ever since we did have Keith Gill return to social media for the first time, reigniting some of that excitement, reigniting certainly his fan base surrounding GameStop. And you can see that on that year-to-date chart on the right half of the screen ever since the middle of May, when we have certainly been on the up and down path here over the last several weeks.
It's hilarious. The stock was at $50 in May. Now it's down to 28. Earlier in May it was at 11. It's just totally all over the place.
Make your head spin.
Yeah.
It's made our heads spin.
Total wild ride.
And
here.
now we have more GameStop news as well to discuss.
Speaking of risk.
Yes, exactly. That's why we wanted you to do this.
Yeah, exactly.
What do you tell us here?
Yeah, so Keith Gill, Roaring Kitty, as I'm sure we've all talked about, we know that name well, appears to have increased his position in GameStop. That, what we think, is based on selling call options. So again, this is based on a screenshot that he's putting onto Reddit, so we haven't verified it. But his position as a whole has increased to 9 million shares from 5 million shares. So the going theory, and folks I'm talking to, so it does look like he sold 120,000 shares worth of call options. So in order to fund that trade, he had to sell call options. The expiration date was next week. That appears to be what's going on here. You're seeing a lot of other pockets, in the meme stock area. It's not just GameStop. Obviously, that is the big one that we talk about, and Keith Gill is sort of driving that, but you're seeing the spillover effect even into penny stocks, some of these micro cap names that, we are not necessarily talking about on CNBC, but as a whole, penny stocks are having a moment. So talk about a sign of risk taking. There is just a lot of froth out there. There are definitely traders out there, individual retail investors that are looking to these pockets of the market to put on some risk, and then also you've got the hedge funds getting in, kind of chasing that retail sentiment.
Yeah, interesting. Thank you for that.
Now that Keith owns 9,001,000 shares of GME, he is officially the 4th largest shareholder of GameStop stock in the world, behind only GameStop CEO Ryan Cohen, Vanguard, and BlackRock. I'll share this meme once again that Keith posted earlier this week. As I said earlier, I would love to see Ryan Cohen and the rest of the leadership at GameStop invite Keith to join the board. Remember that GameStop's annual meeting of stockholders has been rescheduled to this coming Monday, June 17th at 11:30 a.m. Central Daylight Time. That's 12:30 Eastern and 9:30 Pacific. And as I said in an earlier video, I think it's important to have realistic expectations going into the meeting. I would be very surprised if GameStop announced a merger or acquisition at the meeting on Monday. It is possible, but I don't expect to hear any news about that so soon because M&A takes time. I know I've shared this post from Larry Ching a lot recently, and I will likely keep sharing it for a while because it is so relevant to where GameStop is at right now. Larry posted, quote, "Do you remember when Berkshire Hathaway was a textiles company? American Express was an express mail business? Nokia was a pulp mill? Samsung was a grocery trader? Marriott was a root beer stand? Instagram was a check-in app? I don't. Businesses evolve. Other examples? I don't know what GameStop will become in the future. They could become a video game publisher. They could become a holding company. They could become something else that's completely unexpected. I don't know what the company will be in the future. What I do know is that GameStop has roughly $4 billion of cash. They have solid leadership, and they have the support of millions of individual investors. So in my opinion, things are looking really nice for the future of GameStop. And regarding the financial markets, what individual investors want is simple, and nothing we're advocating for is beyond the realm of reason. Individual investors want a free, fair, and transparent stock market. We want large institutions to be held accountable for their actions. We want individual investors to have access to the same real-time data from exchanges' better private feeds, which is currently only available to the large firms on Wall Street. We want short sale data to be reported in real time. We want an end to excessive amounts of failures to deliver, and we want entities who fail to deliver on their obligations to be held accountable. We want an end to payment for order flow due to the insane conflicts of interest it creates. There's a reason why so many other countries have already banned it. We want the exchanges to be not-for-profit utilities as they once were. The exchanges becoming for-profit ventures has created so many conflicts of interest at the expense of individual investors. We want increased competition among market makers. And we want all of individual investors' orders to be routed directly to lit transparent exchanges rather than opaque alternative trading systems known as dark pools. Ultimately, it's simple. What we want is a stock market that offers a truly level playing field for all investors. Please leave a like on this video so more people will see it. And while you're down there, please consider subscribing. It's free, and you can always change your mind. Thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video.